Welcome to Penny for Your Shots, conversations and cocktails with brilliant women. I'm your host, Penny Fitzgerald, and I believe the best stories are the ones shared over a glass of wine or a cocktail. Each week, I sit down with women who've said yes to building something meaningful, often after years of putting everyone else first. We talk business, big dreams, and the mess in between. And of course, a few favorite drinks. So grab a glass, get comfy, and let's pour ourselves into Penny for Your Shots. If you've ever wondered whether you're doing enough, showing up fully, or using your voice the way you're meant to, this conversation is for you. My guest, Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, and I talk about self-worth, leadership, privilege, and the responsibility that comes with being in certain rooms at certain times. Sarah's work centers on creating spaces where people feel safe, seen, and heard. If you've ever questioned your voice, your value, or the labels placed on you, grab a glass and settle in. Here is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey.
Good,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, and tell my audience, you were in logistics, right? I'm so curious because I saw the email about your background a bit, and I've seen you on LinkedIn, of course, and you have a podcast and you help elevate women in the logistics field, right?
Well, if that's just one part of what I do. So yeah, I've been in logistics and supply chain for probably about 25 years at this point.
Wow.
And so my family had a logistics business. So we were making
Uh-huh.
products by ocean freight and air freight and truck and like all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I started the podcast back in 2016. And I started the Woman in Supply Chain series January 2018 after my dad closed his doors and I was out on my butt with nowhere to go. And so we do have a Woman in Supply Chain series, and then I have a second podcast about inclusion in the workplack as well called Blended.
Oh, very cool. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if your assistants told you. Back in the day, like probably about the time that you guys were starting or that you started in logistics, I was working for a distribution center.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel your pain about being one of very few women in leadership
Mhm.
roles there. Yeah, we had to
Yeah.
stick together.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember going to a conference. I was there for sales, and I was like one of three women at the whole conference.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about
Yeah, it's a different world.
very, very different world. Yeah. I'm proud though to see in the supply chain industry that there's more women and they're seeing more
Mhm.
opportunity and what's available to them because it's a great industry to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved working the job that I had. It was great being kind of that liaison between the client and the end customers. So yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot to learn. Like supply chain, just with acronyms alone, I think I have a supply chain
Oh,
dictionary on Amazon. It was 107 pages.
I believe it. Well,
Yeah.
and you've been through some things, right? Not just being a female in a leadership role in a male dominated industry, but then 2020 hits and
hmm
supply chain went, wow, what a lot of challenges.
Yeah. I mean, it was good for my business. So
Mm,
I have a media brand called Let's Talk Supply Chain.
uh-huh.
And when the pandemic hit, everybody went to digital content and digital media. And
Hmm.
that's really just when like live stream was being tested on LinkedIn and things like that. So I was still trying to figure out my own stuff with the podcast. And then the live streaming happened on LinkedIn and I was testing that out. And it was a crazy year because everybody wanted digital marketing, digital media. And so they were coming to us for all sorts of things. And I was expanding my offering and trying to figure out what it was that people wanted. And so, yeah, my business exploded in 2020, which was really cool. I was exhausted by December, but it was really, really cool. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you hear about all of the challenges that the industry had in that time
hmm
and still is having, really.
Still does. Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
do you
Like
navigate
disruption is
that?
on a regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey. Like how did you kind of come to Well, you mentioned that your family was in the industry, but then
Yeah.
how did you start building your own thing?
Yeah, well, I come from two entrepreneurial parents, really, right? So they had this company. I actually didn't go to college or university. I went straight into the family business. Started off as reception, and really as reception, you can learn all sorts of things about all sorts of different departments. But after that, I spent about 8 years in operations and then 8 years in sales. And 2008 wasn't a good year for a lot of people. It was a great year
Oh.
for me. It was one of my best years in sales. I couldn't tell you my secret sauce on that, but it was a lot of fun. But I ended up as director of sales and marketing. And while I was working at the family business, I always had side hustles. Like always had side hustles. I had a rent to own business in real estate. What else? I was a business manager for a makeup company. And also, while I was working for the family business, I was terrified of public speaking. And my mom would always say, you need to call Toastmasters, you need to go to Toastmasters. I don't know if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, in order to like get your spot, you would have to pick up the phone and call. Well, every time I touched the phone or went even close to the phone to call Toastmasters, my hands would get all sweaty. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm not calling them. So I actually did something completely out of the norm. And I went and got a talent agent. And I went on all these auditions and I got yelled out of audition rooms because I cannot memorize lines to save my life. And yeah, that's how, I mean, I was still nervous. I didn't completely get over it, but it got me in front of the camera and it got me sort of pretending and out of my own way. But it also offered me the opportunity. I was on live TV with Denise Richards twice. I was on a brand power commercial. So there was some really cool things that I got to do by getting that
Wow.
talent agent. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so the talent agent was finding like acting roles for you? Is that what this? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so out of the realm of
I,
logistics.
I know. Well, and when I went to the auditions and I sort of got yelled out of the audition rooms, I wasn't too upset about it because I didn't necessarily want to be an actress, right? I really just wanted to get
Uh-huh.
out of my own way. So
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of fun.
So a side hustle as a total um a way to a way to train yourself in getting out there, to push
Yeah.
yourself to try something new.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
That's
actually
so
talk
cool.
about that story. I talk about a whole bunch of other sort of stories around my journey in my new book. So I'm so excited. I actually have a copy outside, but I didn't grab it. So
Oh, that's cool. I think by the time that this airs, it will be available. So I'll put links in the show notes to that and make
yeah,
sure
let's
that
do
people
it.
can find it. That's so
Hmm.
cool. So congratulations on the book.
Thank you. Thank you. I've wanted to write a book for a long time. Um, I'm not a supply chain expert, so like I've been in logistics for a long time, and sure I can talk
Mhm.
about logistics and I can talk about supply chain, but well, I didn't necessarily want it to be considered a supply chain expert. I didn't want to go speak
Mm.
about supply chain. Really wasn't my jam. And I was sort of trying to figure out what it is, like what's my superpower. And I went to this conference last year and they were like, your personal brand should be about one word. I was like, how do you bring everything together in one word?
Right.
Like, what do you do? And
Uh-huh.
so I thought about it. I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it for like a couple of days afterwards. And I was like, one word, one word. What is it? What is it that I do? Well, I create safe spaces for conversation. People feel comfortable with me. When I finish an episode of Blended, people tell me that they feel seen and they feel heard, and most of them have never met me before. So how do you like bundle that all up into one word? And then it came to me on my red eye flight
Oh.
on the way home because I was in California at the time. And I was like, I think the one word is self-worth. And I took it back to my team and they were like, absolutely not. And I was like, but why not? And I started to explain it, right? Helping people feel seen and heard. My relationship with self-worth has gone up and down based on my life experiences and things like that. And so that's what I wrote the book about. It's a memoir about how how I view and see my self-worth based on my life journeys, my life
Oh,
experiences.
wow. Well, and life is a journey.
And
I
so
saw
is
that. Hmm.
self-worth. Everybody
Yes.
thinks that they need to have it like figured out and sorted out and all the things. And there's a lot of
Hmm.
pressure around self-worth,
Mm.
right? You have to feel good about
Hmm.
yourself all the time. And it's just
Who
not,
does? No.
right? That's not really the human experience. And so how do we take a
No.
step back and have a little bit of grace for ourselves and go, wait a second, it's okay that I'm feeling like this today because it's going to be completely different tomorrow. But becoming
Hmm.
aware of it, and what does that look like?
Yeah. When I hear you speaking about it, it sounds very much to me like it's presence. Being
Yeah.
present in the moment and understanding that, okay, this is my journey today. Here's where I am. And being present for the person in front of you, making them feel seen and heard. So you're not off wandering about thinking about all the other things that you have to do today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
It's also
actually
about
listening.
like learning about yourself, I think, from, your life
Mm.
experiences.
Hmm. Well,
What
and you
is it?
used,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, it sounds very much like you pushed yourself to learn more about yourself through those
Yeah.
experiences, like pushing yourself to go do those auditions.
Yeah. I definitely pushed myself to do that.
Wow, where'd you get the idea to do that?
I had some friends at the time who would go on auditions for, they actually wanted to become actors.
Yeah.
And so they were going on auditions, and I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna get a talent agent and see what happens.
Why not?
Yeah. And then it actually, and I think I was talking to a friend of mine at the time, and they were like, why don't you try this? Like, if you really can't go to Toastmasters and it scares the bejesus out of you, you know, why don't you try something like this and see if this will help? So, yeah, I think it was a combination of conversations and trying to think
Hmm.
outside of the box because
Yeah.
I don't know, I had this gut feeling that I needed to get over it, And I'm still not over
Hmm.
it to this day. I speak in front of large audiences and things like that, still not over it.
Oh, wow. I've heard that too. A lot of people have that fear of getting up in front of people and
Mhm.
speaking. It's some people are more afraid of it than death.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hmm.
I've always loved performing. I think I in high school was in plays and stuff and just absolutely ate it up.
Did you?
Loved it. Yes.
And do you do
And I
it
think
now?
I have not done it since as an
Okay.
adult, but yeah, I'm curious. I wonder if I could get the lines down. It's a lot different now as a 60 person.
Well, either that or you could find some speaking gigs and things like that about what you're
Yeah.
what you're passionate
Oh,
about. There is a website called Innovation Women. I don't know if it's .com or not, but you can Google
uh-huh.
it. They get
Innovation
speaking
women.
engagements for women all the time.
Okay. I love
Yeah.
that. Innovation women. Writing that
Yeah.
down.
And then actually, so Blended, which is my podcast about inclusion in the workplace, I bring
Uh-huh.
5 different people together from different walks of life to talk about different inclusion topics. And I also have a nonprofit tied to that podcast, and we give away grants to cover travel expenses so that diverse voices can say yes to speaking engagements.
Oh, how fun.
You go get a speaking engagement, but you can't afford the travel, you can always apply to Blended for the grant.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, tell me more about the podcast and about the format and the women that you speak with and what that's meant.
Yeah, so the Woman in Supply Chain series on the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast,
Hmm.
we feature 2 women a month, one on the podcast, one on the blog. I've been doing the podcast since 2018. So you can imagine I've done a
A
lot of
lot.
interviews, which a lot with a lot of like really cool women. And I remember this one episode, and it was this lady who worked at this really big brand name, and she was very high up, And she said, she was like, I didn't do enough for the women behind me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What did
And
she mean by that? Do you know?
she just didn't do enough for the women who were coming up behind her to get into
Wow.
senior leadership roles. And
Oh, wow.
she was near towards retirement. So more the end of
Mm.
that career than the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that that would have been something that she would have done differently in her
Mm.
career. But obviously, growing up in a different era and all that kind of stuff, there was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
competition and things like that. So,
Mm.
the fact that she was aware of that and she shared it so publicly, um,
That's
really,
interesting.
yeah,
I
and it
don't.
really, really made me realize like the importance of these conversations and making sure that we've got people from all different backgrounds, different walks of life, talking about, their life experiences and their journeys.
Yeah. And do you feel that, do you agree that women are hard on ourselves? Like, I wonder, yeah, I wonder, what made her feel that way? You know, someone who's aware, that self-aware that I didn't help
Mhm.
enough. I bet she had more of an impact, a positive impact than she gives herself credit for.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Probably
Mm-hmm.
more from the outside than maybe the
Mm.
inside of the company that she was actually working for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so, like, she wasn't necessarily down on herself about it. She was just
Good.
very aware and sharing the fact that that was a regret for her. And,
Mm-hmm.
even being towards retirement, um, I think being aware even at that point, you can do something about it. I mean, you can still make an impact. You can still, put some time, energy, money, and effort into, something that you want to make an impact on. And I think
Yeah,
I would assume she's probably doing that. She is a great person.
that's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, we all can look back and see, okay, I could have done this or I should have done that. Or,
Hmm.
you think about the legacy you want to leave and the people that you want to lift up and support. And yeah, any of us can do more,
Hmm.
but,
Yeah.
do what you can.
Yeah. But I also think it's important hearing it from somebody like that
Yes. The
because
impact is greater,
that,
right? Because she's been
well,
there.
yeah. And that statement makes an impact alone. Because if you're
Yeah.
somebody within your career that hasn't done it, that's not aware of it, you might
Mm,
take a step back and think, ooh, you know what I mean? Like maybe
right.
that's something that I want to start thinking about within my career. How do I lift those behind me?
Right.
Um, and then also for the younger generation to hear that and understand that the older generation is becoming more aware of it and understanding that impact. I just think
Hmm.
that kind of authenticity and vulnerability is really important.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me more about the other podcasts that you have as well.
Yeah, blended. So, I
Yeah.
think it was January 2020. So, the Woman in Supply Chain series started January 2018.
Uh-huh.
And January 2020, I have a very blended family. And
Mm.
I was like, there's more to this inclusion thing than just gender. So, what is
Mm-hmm.
it that I want to do? And I actually announced it on my live show. I was like, I'm going to do something. And so people kept bugging me. When is this going to come out? When is this going to come out? And I think by July, I had no idea. I still had no idea what I was going to do. And I was like, okay, I better get serious about this. Um, and I think I was watching Red Table Talk at the time, and I was like, I want to do Red Table Talk for podcasts. And I want it to be about inclusion. And so that's what I did. So once a month, I ask 5 different people from different walks of life together. No experts. Experts are welcome, but like they don't have to be
Mhm.
expert on the topic. And we talk about inclusion, one topic around inclusion in the workplace. So I just released an episode on privilege. I have another episode coming out on ethical AI. And the stories, the perspectives, the questions, are just, I don't know, I'm a little bit biased because I'm the host, but I think magic happens on these episodes because most of them have never met each other and most of them have
Oh,
never met me. And we're talking about some super hard topics. So,
yeah. Wow. Don't you feel too that people are so giving of their time and their honesty? It feels very much in doing this podcast. It's just amazing to me how open the women that I talk to are about their
yeah.
journeys and about what they've
Mhm.
experienced. And it's just wonderful to come together and hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it. It's something that I really enjoy doing.
It's so timely.
Yeah, I mean, some of the topics that we've covered are very, very difficult, like
Yeah.
disability and yeah, I've been doing it since 2020. The nonprofit's been out since October 2021. So, yeah, we've got about 20 volunteers across Splendid
Oh.
Pledge, which is the nonprofit as well. So, super lucky that these people do trust me to come on the show, even though they've never really met me to talk about these hard topics. Some
Mm.
people get inside their heads. Some
Oh
people
yeah.
get completely in their heads and then they don't show up on the day. And so I
Oh
actually say whoever's meant to be there is meant to be for that episode.
yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
I had to.
Wow.
Otherwise, I was going to get mad all the time
Uh,
because people weren't showing up.
oh wow. What was one of your favorite conversations? Can you recall a fun story? Or not necessarily fun, but really impactful?
Well, when it came to the Woman in Supply Chain series, I would probably say that one that we just talked about. When it comes to
Uh-huh.
blended, they all have a little bit of magic in them.
Mm.
The first episode I ever did, I had somebody from the LGBTQIA plus community, and we were talking about identity.
Mm.
And he was talking about all sorts of things, and he was like, well, it depends where we are and what we're doing and who we're with and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at him and I said, can I ask you, if I see you in a setting, can I ask you how you identify? And he's like, well, I don't know, like who's going to be around, where we're going to be, how is that conversation? I said, that is too much, right? And then we started talking about it as a group, right? How do we know when we can approach somebody? How do we know when we can give some
Mm.
grace and ask some questions and things like that? And by the end of the conversation, he said, you know what? Just ask me.
Oh,
He's like, I
nice.
just want you to know. Because that was the other part of it is like, you want people to know how you identify and who you are and what you want them to know
Hmm.
about you.
But you
But how
also
do
want to
we
feel
do that?
safe.
You want
Yeah,
to feel
right.
safe, but how do you do that if it has to be a certain situation, all this kind of stuff? And then yeah, he
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I want you to know who I am. So I want you to ask me.
Yeah.
So that was that was
Wow.
that was a cool episode.
That sounds very cool. It's just, we all, like we were saying, we all want to feel safe and heard.
Yeah.
We want to feel understood. And if you
Hmm.
don't feel safe telling someone who you really are, how can
Yeah.
you ever feel seen and heard and understood?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also I feel like there's another part of the conversation here is that we give away our power
Mm.
way too easily. So I'll
Hmm.
give you an example. I was out to dinner. I do these women in supply chain dinners when I travel. And there was a senior vice president next to me, and then there was me, and then there was a woman who co-founded this company and is like running this like multi-million dollar company.
Mm.
And she looked at both of us and she's like, I feel intimidated by you. You're a senior VP. And she pointed to me and she's like, you have 50,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I was like, do you mind if we break this down and talk about this for a second? Because I talk about this in the book too.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, why do you feel intimidated? And she said, the followers and because of the title and things like that. And I said, yeah, but part of the challenge with that is that when you say that, you put power behind it. If
Mm.
you were aware of it and you took that power off of it, we would actually all be much better off because we wouldn't look at each other
Mm.
as different,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or that you have more than, or you have more than,
Right.
or I have more than.
Yeah. It's that imposter syndrome. We just
Yeah.
don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't feel safe. We don't feel comfortable.
But we give our power away too
Yeah,
too easily.
absolutely. Yeah. It's our nervous system. It's really trying to keep us safe and small.
Yeah.
If you could fully show up as yourself, you have something to say.
Yeah, it's also society too, though.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that we ended up this ended up being a conversation at the table when she said this, and I asked her, because you have to ask permission, right? Are you okay if I
Yeah.
use this as an example? Because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I didn't want to put her on the spot or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lady who's the senior VP, she actually had a position at a company as a senior VP, and then she went to VP at a different company.
Mm.
But the companies were so different that the actual level was the same. The title was different.
Uh-huh.
But the amount of people that reached out to her and said, "How do you feel about being demoted?"
Gosh.
But that is society.
Yeah.
Like that is the pressure from society going, wait a second, you dropped the senior, so you must feel bad about yourself.
Mm. Would somebody ask that of a man if the same situation were true?
I don't know. That I can't answer. Maybe they would, maybe
Mm.
they wouldn't. Maybe it's a smaller group of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like really, if you drop the senior, like a senior VP versus VP, it doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man, it still looks in society as demotion.
Mm. Yeah. We put so much weight on titles in the corporate
Oh,
world.
and maybe you do, right? For it to potentially work within an organization. But if we put too much power into those titles and those labels, it actually affects our self-worth. And that's what we own.
Mm.
We have to protect that, not anybody else. So if somebody
Mm-hmm.
wants to call you a senior VP, so I went from a director of sales and marketing to a
Mm-hmm.
receptionist at a tennis club within like 8 months because nobody would
Mm-hmm.
hire me after everything happened with my family business. Nobody would hire me. And so I was mopping floors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so at one point, I was like, I don't want anybody to see me doing this. What would they think? Blah, blah, blah. People from all over
Uh-huh.
life. Oh my goodness. Right. But then
Yep.
I got over it and I was like, wait a second. This is really the what I need to be able to build my business and get my business to where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but you have to work on yourself and protecting that sort of like self-worth bubble and being like, wait a second, what's the power that I'm putting on labels or titles? What does that
Yep.
do for me? Sure, out in society, I was director of sales and marketing and I went to receptionist of tennis club. And that might mean something to other people. But what does that mean to me? And
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to think about it? And how am I going to think about myself?
Wow. Yeah. I think internally we have to shift our mindset somewhat too. Like, you do what you have to do. And, in that situation, how do you flip your mindset to be like, yeah, I'm a receptionist and I'm doing good work here. I'm
Mm,
helping a lot of people.
yeah.
I've got the prettiest floor in town.
I don't know about that. I'm not very good at mopping floors. I
Well,
tried.
you do what you can and you do your best. And as long as you know in your heart of hearts that you're doing your best, and this is what I've got to do today.
Yeah. 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 So true. So true.
Been there.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have, right? We just don't talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. And there's so much shame around some of those things. But
That's a big word.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. How do you navigate that?
How do I navigate what?
That word shame.
Um, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with self-worth. So I think it's really a journey, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think that we can feel through it. I don't think it
Mm-hmm.
needs to define us.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it comes and goes, right? depending on the
Yeah.
situation, depending on how we feel about ourselves that day. There's a lot of different factors when it comes to shame. I think those who are maybe a little bit more evolved or has done some internal work can feel through it a lot faster and easier and can actually
Hmm.
come and apologize and create
Mm.
the space to be able to muddle through whatever that shame looks like. Um, if you can't get to that point, it's worth the work.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's not attached to ego.
Right. Right. It all comes down to that, like getting out of yourself, getting out of your own head, getting out of that ego part,
Yeah. Yeah.
back
Absolutely.
to soul. Wow. I imagine in your blended conversations that you've had that there's been a lot of real and raw conversation around
Mhm.
that.
Talk more about giving each other more grace. Um,
Love that.
shame, but like the conversations really are authentic. Like people are sharing personal stories and what they've been through. I remember talking about diplomas and masters programs and, what does that mean? And does it actually
Mm-hmm.
mean what it's supposed to mean? And, especially for inclusion in the workplace, right?
Mm.
How are
Mm-hmm.
we including everybody? Somebody who has a master's and somebody does not. Um, so yeah, and then there was some conversations. Yeah, they've just been some really cool conversations about a lot of really tough subjects. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think the word shame has come up. I think we've talked in circles around it, but haven't
Uh-huh.
actually mentioned the word.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm grateful to hear that that's not a focus anyway.
Mm-mm. No, it's really
Yeah.
about sharing stories so that we can learn
Yeah.
what other people have been through and how they've got through it, or just seeing somebody else's perspective around a particular issue.
I, in today's day and age, I'm just baffled by not wanting to have more diversity, more inclusion in the workplace. We learn from each other, and it's just important to lift each other up and support each other. We're only as good as a society as our weakest member or our,
Mhm.
um, we just need to lift people up, I feel. And it sounds like that's what you're doing with your podcast.
I hope so. I hope so. I think, to be honest with you, every
Mm-hmm.
episode is more about the guests than it is the people who are listening. Because the guests at the end of the day have learned from each other.
Mm-hmm.
They've learned a lot more about themselves. They've learned how to go back and maybe broach this particular topic with their teams.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's really interesting because usually, the podcast is for the audience. It's definitely for the audience. But I also think that the guests get way more out of it by
Mm-hmm.
being there in that time frame, talking to each other, learning from each other. It's
That's
really
so
cool to see.
authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet that's more impactful for the audience because it's so,
Yeah.
it's so much for the guests.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
What are some more stories that you remember from it that were impactful for you or for the
Um,
guests?
yeah, if I think about the ethical AI episode that is
Yeah.
coming out, I think it's coming out in November. Um, that one, we did have a senior woman from ADP, and she was
Mm-hmm.
talking about software, like clocking in and clocking out software.
Mm-hmm.
And it took them a really long time to figure out that software because of skin tone. And it's so
Oh.
interesting to listen to some of the things that they have had to do from a technology perspective. So it's all about protection, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
ethical AI is around protection. It's also around using it properly, but it's also about inclusion. How are we using AI to really bring about inclusion? And that's where the facial recognition software came into play for ADP. And so she talks about this story about how that came to be and what that looked like and how many iterations they had to go through to make
Mm.
sure that it was inclusive of everybody. So that's one of them. I think the other one was on the privilege episode that we just put out this month. And there was sort of this light bulb moment where we were talking about uh, privilege, and privilege is a very, very interesting topic. A lot of times it is specifically pointed towards a certain demographic.
Mm,
Um, and when we got into the conversation and we were talking about it, it really came to be that privilege changes depending on who you are and what room you're in. So,
mm,
who are you in that moment in that room means that you could actually have privilege at different times or not have privilege at different
mm,
times during the day,
mm. Wow.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of times privilege is painted as this one broad stroke, when
Uh-huh.
actually there's so many different dimensions to that particular conversation.
I never thought of it that way.
I know. I didn't think about it either. That's why the light bulb moment, and it was for everybody on the call. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just for me. It was sort of everybody on that call going, "Wait a second. You have a point there." But like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was really a light bulb moment for everybody.
It kind of comes down to that power question again, right? Wait, your
Yeah.
self-power, how much power are you giving away?
How much power are you keeping? How much power are
Mhm.
you how much power are you giving away? And how much power are you giving to ego?
Right, right. And in that particular setting, what are other people doing with your power? Like, are they
Hmm.
trying to take it from you? And
Hmm.
do you
But
have to let that
recognizing
happen?
in that moment that you have some sort of privilege,
Mm-hmm.
no matter who you are and what you do, and but in that moment you have more privilege than somebody else.
Mm, yeah. And what are you going to do with it?
Yeah. What are you going to do with it? Right? How are we going to recognize it? It can go a
Yeah.
couple of different ways.
Wow. Yeah. How are we going to support others with that? Use the power for good, right?
And a lot of times with the privilege, it's we're looking at it externally. We want to get it from somebody externally, right?
Mm,
But then if we're able to recognize it within ourselves, within a certain setting, then just become that much more aware of it. And that's going for anybody who has privilege, no matter where you are and who you are throughout your day, your
mm,
week, the rooms
mm-hmm.
that you're in, because I think that that brings together a more elevated conversation around it and can bring more awareness and a heightened responsibility for those in privilege in that moment to recognize it and talk about it.
Yeah. That's a huge responsibility. Wow. Especially, when you're working with a team,
Hmm.
I can see where that would be very important to be understanding your level of privilege in that moment.
Yeah. But also being able to ask questions, right? Like part of all of
Mm-hmm.
this is that nobody really knows all of the answers. None of us know the perfect way to ask or the perfect way to act.
Mm-hmm.
And we get caught up in, well, there's this perfect way of doing everything, and
Mm,
there really isn't.
yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody's going to do it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain level of vulnerability to that.
Hmm.
Feel like
Yeah.
in showing that hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to say here or how I'm supposed to act, but
Hmm.
asking questions to kind of learn and grow.
Yeah, I had actually one of my other episodes, my guests called me out on something. And they did it
Yeah.
nicely and it was fine. And they actually had asked me to take it out of the episode. And I said, absolutely not.
Uh-huh.
Like
That's gold.
this is a way for me to be able to show that even though I host this podcast, I don't know everything about inclusion in the workplace. I'm
Mm-hmm.
setting the stage, creating the safe space, allowing for people to have a moment and a platform to be able to talk about some of the hard things that they want to talk about. And so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that I know everything. And so I also have to showcase in that moment what it's like to be the host that's being called out on using a particular word that I shouldn't have used, and
Uh-huh.
me asking the questions as to, oh, wait a second. Well, I thought that this actually meant this. Why is this a bad word? Or how can I not use this in this context or whatever? And we all talked it through and they were like, no, you really shouldn't use it. Da, 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 da. And they were like, you're going to cut this out of the episode. And I said, no,
Yeah.
because this
It's a
is how
teaching
we all
moment.
learn.
Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast. I love having conversations like that are just meaningful and deep and you grow from them.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I go from it every
Wow.
time. I'm very lucky.
So cool.
Yeah.
Can I switch gears on you?
Sure.
Okay. So at the end of every episode, I love to ask my guests about their favorite cocktail or glass
Oh.
of wine. Do you have a favorite?
So I really like vodka and sparkling water,
I love that
but I
too.
also like a really good spicy skinny margarita.
Ooh, spicy with jalapeno.
Yes, although
No,
sometimes they
I
can make
love
it
it.
too spicy and then I regret my decisions, but that's okay.
Oh, well, that's okay. You can have another one and tone it down.
All right. Just give me some water.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a little cheese dip,
Yes. Well, if
little
I wasn't
queso.
dairy free, maybe.
Oh, that, yeah. It's okay. We can find something for you. Do you remember a fun memory shared with friends over a margarita?
Actually, my cousin just got married on Friday. I know this is coming out in a little bit,
Nice.
but on 10/10, and yeah, we were at a Mexican restaurant to celebrate them, and I
Oh,
had a spicy skinny margarita, and
oh,
it was a lot of
nice.
fun.
That's so cool. It's always great to celebrate.
Yes, they weren't going to celebrate, and I forced them to.
Celebrate that.
I know they were very happy that they did, so that's good.
Oh, nice. Nice. So what other things do you like to do for fun? I mean, you are busy, busy, busy with your work and your charitable events and all of that. But do you have some activities you like to do just for hobbies and fun?
Yes, so I like to play I like to play softball. I've been playing softball for a very long
Oh,
time. But since moving, I have to play a different kind of softball, so I'm just sort of getting used to that. So
okay.
I like to do
Where did you
that.
move from?
Toronto.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I like to play softball. I like to go read my book at the beach or the lagoon that we
Mm.
have in our area,
Hmm.
which is a lot of fun. I like to go for a golf cart ride now that I have a golf cart.
It's a thing to do here.
Right? And my fur babies, walking
Oh, what do you
them.
have?
And
What do you have for fur
I have a
babies?
Havanese and an Aussie poo.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cute.
Oh, they are
And they've
cute.
been very well behaved. They have not made themselves known.
Well, so I do have doors that close, and my husband's dealing with them while I am
Okay.
recording. He knows the hours that I'm recording, and so
Oh, that's fun. I have had so many guest appearances by four-legged babies.
yeah, if they were here, they usually love sleeping in my office, but
uh,
they're somewhere else. I think I can see her in her bed right now.
so nice. Well, is there anything that I have not asked you that you would love to share with my audience?
I would really just love to share about the book if you don't mind.
Oh,
Is that
please. Yes,
okay?
please do.
So
Yeah.
the title of the book is I Buried Her in a French Press, a
Oh,
memoir about finding my voice and the power of being heard. And I don't, do you mind if I run out and grab a copy so
no,
I can
please
show it to you?
do. Yeah, please do.
Okay. So here it is.
Ah, I love it.
Yeah. So it's my first book. And so like I said, it's about my journey with self-worth based on my life experiences. And so I share quite a few of the stories that we talked about today. I share a lot more of the stories that I didn't share today, including the reason why it's called I Buried Her in a French Press, because I did bury my step grandmother in a French press.
Okay, we need to know what's going on there.
I know it's a whole chapter. I promise. I
Oh my
promise. And
gosh.
It's a good story, but yeah, it comes out October 21st
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm
on
sure this
Amazon.
I will include that link in the show notes so people can find you. That and links
Awesome.
to your podcasts and LinkedIn and all the things. Congratulations on the book. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm super excited. And thank
Yeah.
you for having me on the show. This was awesome.
I've enjoyed getting to know you. It's been amazing. Have a great day.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's a wrap on this episode of Penny for Your Shots. If you loved today's conversation, don't let the inspiration stop here. Get my weekly insider updates straight to your inbox. It's where I spill behind the scenes goodies, exclusive tips, and all the fun stuff I don't always share on the podcast. Sign up now at pennyforyourshots.com/insider. I'll see you in your inbox next Thirsty Thursday. Cheers!